galleries will please rise as we are led in prayer today by the gentleman in the 25th District, Doggett Hornbuckle.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues and friends, please bow your heads. Dear Father, we come to you humbly today asking for your mercies, your forgiveness, and your guidance on this journey to do our best for West Virginia. We ask that you give us the clarity and emotional intelligence to make decisions that affect all. In this world we live in today, above everything else, we ask that you give us the patience and wherewithal to love each other while seeking perspective in our quest towards a better state of living. Thank you for everything you've done, will do, in the way that only you can shape hearts and minds. In your precious name, Father, amen.
Amen. Please remain standing as we are led in the Pledge of Allegiance today by the gentleman in the 37th District, Gearhart.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Please join me in honoring our country by reciting the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Members and guests may be seated. Reading of the Journal.
Journal of the House of Delegates, February 6, 2026.
From the 14th, Doggett Foggin.
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that further reading of the journal be dispensed with and that it be approved as having been read.
Gentlemen, the 14th, ask unanimous consent that further reading of the journal be dispensed with and it be approved as having been read. Are there objections? No objections are heard. Introductions. Lady from the 19th, Doggett Kraus.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On behalf of myself, Delegates Hollis, Shamblin, Hall, Farrell, we would like to welcome President Eric Cage and the students, faculty, and staff and friends of West Virginia State University, which also includes a very large makeup of their nursing program. If they would all stand, and if the House could please make them all welcome. Thank you.
Gentleman, the 54th, Doggett Pushkin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have several announcements today. First, we have a page joining us, Mr. Connor Bohr, who is a 7th grader at Charleston Catholic. He is accompanied today by his father, Paul, who I believe is in the West Gallery. If Connor would, in the South Gallery. Thanks for pointing that out, Connor. If you would stand, and Paul, if you would stand with the House, please make them feel welcome. Thank you. Also, of West Virginia State University Day, we are joined by Dr. Lena Lambert, who is the chair of the Social Work Department, and Dr. Carrie Steele, who is the dean of the College of Professional Studies, and they are joined today by some of their social work students. And if they would stand with the House, please make them feel welcome.
Gentleman from the 24th, Doggett Lucas.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have several pages with me today from Covenant School in Huntington, West Virginia, and that is the alma mater of both of my children. So I want to recognize, please stand as I call your name, Emma Buchanan, Layla Adkins, Macy Morgan Baker, Elise Butcher, Jackson Carter, Amelia Day, Elijah Deskins, Charlotte Dudley, and Kinsley Hunt. They are here today with their 8th grade West Virginia history teacher, Mindy Stanley, who is in the North Gallery. Please make them all feel welcome.
Gentleman to the 75th, Doggett Mallow.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On behalf of my colleague, Delegate Vance, I'd like to welcome a couple pages here from Oceana Middle School. We have Colton Vance, Jaylee Maynard, Skylar Cook, and they're accompanied by William Elkins, who's an Army veteran and their mentor. Please give them a warm welcome.
From the 50th, Doggett Pritt.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We have a page with us this morning, Miss Kimmy Lewis. She has been a student of mine. This is the 3rd year in a row, so please send her some condolences. If you'd make her feel welcome this morning, thank you very much. And her mother is behind me in the gallery. Thank you.
From the 25th, Doggett Hornbuckle.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, I have a page with me today who is diligently working right in front of me right now. House, please make her feel welcome. It is Annika Aurora from Cabell Midland. She is a junior. She is interested.
From the 32nd, Douglas Holstein.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Joining us in the West Gallery today, with her gifted class from Elkview Middle, and I think her teacher's with her also, Miss Scaff. If they would both stand, the House make them feel welcome.
From the 40th, Douglas Cooper.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Visiting us from Summers County today up in the North Gallery, if they will stand when I call their names, is the Sheriff of Summers County, Justin Ferris. And right beside of him in the red jacket is my good friend, Mike Gore, one of the commissioners. And the other commissioner with him is Ted Cool. If Ted will stand, let's please make them welcome. Thank you all for coming.
From the 26th, Douglas Rohrbach.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to introduce 3 pages today. If they'd stand when we call their name, Lily Napier, Paisley Nash, and Elena Smith are visiting with us from Covenant School today. And they are accompanied by their teacher, whom I would also like to stand up in the North Gallery, Mindy Stanley. She was my daughter's first grade teacher a long time ago when she went to Covenant School, and the school was very new. So if the House would all give them a welcome.
From the 61st, Douglas Jeffries.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. With us today, we have students of Elkview Middle School that have participated in the STEM and cybersecurity learning experiences through West Virginia State University 4-H. Today, as West Virginia State University holds its day at the Capitol, these students are visiting to gain insight in the state's legislative process. We commend the students for their engagement and interest in learning. With us, we have Liam Davis, 7th grader, Grayson George, 7th grader, Sadie Harold, 6th grader, Celia Humphreys, 6th grader, Jacob Kendall, 7th grader, Penelope Lilly, 6th grader, Levi Snyder, 7th grader, Jasmine Young, 6th grader, Alex Bowman, 6th grader, Carter Ball, 7th grader, Kendall Yeager, 6th grader. And accompanying them today is Shirley Skaggs, Elkview Middle School teacher, and Ashley Krasnansky, West Virginia State University 4-H STEM educator. If they will all stand and the House make them feel welcome.
From the 46th, Douglas Campbell.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Delegate Canterbury and I have a page today. If she will stand, Emily Conaway. She is a 6th grade student at Eastern Greenbrier Middle School, and she is here today with her father, who is also Monroe County Schools Superintendent, Dr. Jason Conaway. Will the House please make them welcome?
From the 17th, Douglas Pinson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On behalf of Delegate Parsons and myself, we have a page here today. If McCaden Scarberry would please stand. McCaden joins us from Ripley Middle School, and his mother is in the West Gallery, Miss Kelsey Work. If she would please stand, and the House please make them feel welcome.
From the 80th, Douglas Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In the South Gallery with his uncle, we've got a good friend here today, Mr. Max Schneider. If he would please stand, and if the House would give him a warm welcome.
Are there further introductions? If not, gentleman from the 54th, Douglas Pushkin's recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Over the weekend, we learned of the passing of a great West Virginian and a friend and a neighbor of mine, Danny Boyd. Danny was a filmmaker, writer, director, producer, wrote many West Virginia homemade films, and also an author, wrote children's books and many graphic novels. He was also a professor, taught film at West Virginia State University, and influenced countless West Virginians to go on and pursue a career in film and theater. Danny also had a brief stint as a professional wrestler under the name Professor Chaos as well. He was just a true West Virginian, a great member of the West Side community, and he will be greatly missed. And I would just ask that the House stand in a moment of silence and keep his daughters Georgia and Danielle in your prayers.
At this time, the chair would ask all members and guests in the galleries to please rise as the House observes a brief moment of silence in memory of Professor Boyd. Thank you, members and guests. May be seated. Are there further introductions? If not, standing committee reports.
Your Committee on the Judiciary has had under consideration House Bill 4725, clarifying the disposition of animals subject to animal cruelty treatment. House Bill 4801, defining permissible expenditures for municipalities and counties. And committee substitute for Senate Bill 207, clarifying sheriff's compensation for collection of taxes. And report the same back with recommendation each do pass.
Report will be received.
Your Committee on the Judiciary has had under consideration House Bill 4412, require certain websites to utilize age verification methods to prevent minors from accessing content.
Report will be received. We have other standing committee reports. If not, select committee reports, executive messages, Senate messages.
The Senate announces that the Senate has passed the following bills. Committee substitute for Senate Bill 467, allowing enforcement of Purple Heart parking spaces taken by non-Purple Heart recipients.
Message will be received and the bill will be referred to New Energy and Public Works.
Committee substitute for Senate Bill 490, approving short-term training programs for eligibility for federal workforce Pell Grants.
The message will be received and the bill will be referred to the Committee on Government Organization.
Senate Bill 586, modifying requirements for public water systems.
The message will be received and the bill will be referred to the Committee on Government Organization.
Senate Bill 622, extending mine safety technology tax credit.
The message will be received and the bill will be referred to the Committee on Finance. We have other Senate messages. If not, resolutions, petitions, bills introduced.
House Bill 5319, camping ban on certain public property.
Gentleman, the first.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I ask unanimous consent to further reading bills introduced be dispensed with, and that each bill be considered as having been formally introduced and referred to the appropriate committees as indicated on the chamber automation system.
The gentleman from the first asked unanimous consent that the further reading of bills introduced be dispensed with, and that each bill be considered as having been formally introduced and referred to the appropriate committees as indicated on the chamber automation system. Are there objections? No objections are heard. Motions. Unfinished business. Bills on third reading.
Committee substitute for House Bill 4198,
Gentleman the first.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Unanimous consent to postpone action one day.
Gentleman the first asked unanimous consent to postpone action one day on the bill. Are there objections? No objections are heard. Bill will be postponed by 1 day. Further bills on third reading.
Committee substitute for House Bill 4522, banning foreign-backed spending on state ballot issues.
Question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Are there objections to having the bill explained in lieu of having the bill read? No objections are heard. Gentleman from the 55th, Douglas Akers, to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. House Bill 4522 is self-descriptive in the short title, banning foreign-backed spending on state ballot issues. It's meant to close a loophole in federal law. The Federal Elections Commission has previously ruled that foreign nationals may not or are prohibited from spending on committees or candidates, but because there are no such things as federal ballot measures, the FEC has ruled that it has no jurisdiction or say with regard to those at the state level. So House Bill 4522 is meant to close that loophole at the state level, along with approximately 19 other states have enacted similar measures. This bill would provide for those prohibitions and also provides for an enforcement mechanism by the Attorney General upon a showing of a knowing violation. It's a brief description of the bill, Mr. Speaker. Happy to take any questions, and I urge passage.
I've heard the bill explained. The question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Is there debate on the bill? If not, those in favor of the passage of the bill will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will please close the machine and ascertain the result. On this question, we had 95 ayes, 0 nays, and 4 members absent. A majority of the members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
Committee substitute for House Bill 4522.
Are there title amendments? If not, the title as read by the clerk will be and remain the title of the bill. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. Next bill on third reading.
Committee substitute for House Bill 4755, adding aggravated vehicular homicide to the list of qualifying offenses.
The question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Are there objections to having the bill explained in lieu of having the bill read? No objections are heard. Gentleman from the 55th to explain the bill.
Thank you again, Mr. Speaker. House Bill 4755 adds the offenses of aggravated vehicular homicide, DUI causing serious bodily injury, and third offense DUI to the list of qualifying offenses to what we refer to commonly as the recidivist statute, West Virginia Code Section 61-11-18. That's a brief description of the bill, Mr. Speaker. Happy to take any questions and urge passage.
Is there debate on the bill? If not, those in favor of passage of the bill will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will please close the machine and ascertain the result. On that question, there were 95 ayes, 0 nays, and 4 members absent. A majority of the members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
Committee substitute for House Bill 4755.
Are there title amendments?
Delegate Akers moves to amend the title.
The question is on adoption of the title amendment. Those in favor of adoption of the title amendment will please say aye. Those opposed will please say no. The ayes have it. The chair declares the title amendment adopted. The title is amended by the House will be and remain the title of the bill. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate for the bills on third reading.
Committee substitute for House Bill 4982, Make West Virginia Healthy Act of 2026.
The question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Are there objections to having the bill explained in lieu of having the bill read? No objections are heard. Gentleman from the 23rd, Delegate Worrell, to explain the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The committee substitute for House Bill 4982, otherwise known as the Make West Virginia Healthy Act of 2026. And Mr. Speaker, you know, we all know the numbers. We know the people behind them. West Virginia leads the nation in chronic disease, disability, preventable illness. And that's not a talking point. You know, we're talking about our neighbors, more specifically our workforce, and definitely our Medicaid budget. And whether you sit on this side of the aisle or that one, we're all paying for the bill for a system that waits until people are very sick before we act. And this legislation says something simple but long overdue, and that's that prevention is common sense. So let me be very clear about what this bill does not do. It's not a federal takeover. It's not a mandate on families' personal choices. It's not bureaucracy for bureaucracy's sake. But what this bill is coordination, accountability, and a return on investment. Right now, we're spending billions treating diabetes, heart disease, hypertension, obesity-related illness after they've wrecked lives and wrecked budgets. Medicaid bears the cost a lot of times, so do employers, and definitely taxpayers. And so a simple question, why are we paying more later when we could pay less earlier? The food as medicine provision is a perfect example. We already pay for dialysis, we already pay for amputations, we pay for ER visits. What this allows is something cheaper: nutrition counseling, medically tailored meals, grocery prescriptions, tools that reduce utilization of expensive care. And that's not theory. Managed care organizations already want this because it saves them money. We're simply giving the Bureau of Medical Services the authority to do what works and to measure outcomes. In this bill, we're also going to prioritize local farmers, local producers, and community organizations. That keeps dollars here, supporting West Virginians through agriculture, and it strengthens our local economies. And that should matter to all of us here. So let's talk about what does exist. This Office of Healthy Lifestyles is in the bill. The office already exists, and we're just reestablishing it with teeth, but also with guardrails. It does annual reporting to the legislature, and it also focuses on cross-agency coordination, so we stop duplicating programs and we start getting results. I want to clarify what this bill does on schools. I know we had an amendment. Appreciate the chair and vice chair from the Department of Education. And so we're going to focus on physical fitness, but not punishment. Kids don't lose recess for bad grades. Schools with limited resources get flexibility, and students with IEPs are protected. And the data we're collecting, well, it's anonymous, but it's aggregated, and it's used for one purpose only, and that's to know whether what we're doing is actually working. And if it doesn't work, we can change it. That's accountability. This bill also respects local control. Counties apply for grants, schools choose participation, employers can opt in, and finally, it's about workforce readiness. Healthy kids become healthy workers miss fewer days, cost less to insure, and stay employed longer. And a healthier state is really a more competitive state. If we want companies to invest here, if we want to grow our economy, if we want fewer people dependent on government programs, then we must confront the reality that chronic disease is one of the biggest barriers to prosperity in West Virginia. This bill doesn't ask us to micromanage lives. It asks us to be good stewards. It doesn't grow government. It makes government smarter. I urge those who care deeply about fiscal discipline, personal responsibility, and local solutions to support this bill. That's an explanation of the bill, Mr. Speaker, and I urge passage.
Question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Gentleman from the 54th, Delegate Pushkin is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the chairman yield?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Under this 1667-4, creation of the Office of Healthy Lifestyles, then it goes on to say that there is continued. So you're saying that already exists?
Yes, it does. The office already exists.
Where is it housed?
Yeah, it's in Department of Health.
So, like, are they in the Capitol complex, or are they at one of the downtown offices? Where are they?
They are on Capitol Street.
Okay. And there are people, like, there's a commissioner of that office right now? There are people.
It's
if I
a
went down
director,
there, I
not a
could find
commissioner.
An Office of Healthy Lifestyles?
It's a
does
director
it
of
just
the
exist
Office of Lifestyles.
Okay. Do you know how much money we had in the budget for it last year?
I believe around $620,000, I believe.
For this particular office? For the
I
Office
believe
of Healthy
so.
Lifestyles?
Yeah, I believe so. I might be a little off there, but I thought last I read was about $620,000. Maybe $453,000. Does that sound better? Sorry, I was trying to remember my math when I looked at this last.
Okay. Are they in the Bureau for Public Health?
I don't think they're in the Bureau. They're just under the Department of Health.
They're under the Department of Health.
Yes.
And they've had an office. There are people down. If I went down there now, there are people working in an
Yes.
Office of Healthy Lifestyles.
Mm-hmm. And they submit an annual report currently. Yes.
Okay. Thank you for yielding. Mr. Speaker, that's,
Gentleman is recognized.
Thank you. Well, I believe we're all for healthy choices, and I want to listen to the debate. I truly haven't made my mind up how I'm going to vote on this particular piece of legislation. I'm interested in hearing some of the discussions on it. This is the first really that I've heard on this Office of Healthy Lifestyles. I've served on the Committee on Health and Human Resources for quite some time. I was unaware that there was money in the budget for it. I thought that this bill really started it back up where it had been just existing in code, from what I understand. And while we all want to encourage West Virginians to make healthy choices, one choice that is beyond their control is when they see their insurance premiums go from around $400 a month to over $2,000 a month. And that just happened this month. When in coming years, when we see thousands and thousands of West Virginians get kicked off of Medicaid, that's right around the corner. And that does relate to this bill, because the money that we're using in this bill comes from the Rural Health Care Transformation Initiative. And that money was put in the federal spending bill because of a concern about all these cuts to Medicaid, these rises in premiums that will cause people no longer to be covered, and the hit it was going to have on our rural hospitals. Because of the concern of states like West Virginia that rely on rural hospitals, they added this fund in hopes that this would somehow offset that. And like I said, well, I'm still not sure where I'm going to vote on the bill. I'm sure we're all for healthy lifestyles. I don't know how this is going to offset the billions of dollars we're going to lose in coming years in Medicaid cuts that are going to cause rural hospitals to close. I think the only thing we're transforming rural hospitals into is closed, and that's my concern.
Gentleman from the 29th, Delegate Dillon is recognized on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the Chair of Health yield?
Yes, sir.
Do we have any information on the number of farmers or producers who are qualified or prepared to participate in this program?
No, we don't have any right now. There are plenty around, but that's part of what this bill will do. It will take the Office of Healthy Lifestyles and help collaborate and coordinate with the Department of Agriculture to identify those local producers.
Okay. So you might know more about this than I do, but my understanding is that previously and up till now, the Farm to school program has had a very low participation rate. Does that sound about right to you?
There are certain counties that do opt in and utilize a farm to school, farm to table program, but not every county does.
Okay. No further questions. Permission to speak to the bill?
Yes, gentleman is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I like certain provisions of this bill. I like the fitness standards. I like the idea that we're going to use more locally grown foods to feed our children. But one of the reasons why we don't have a higher adoption rate for the farm to table is because of the involvement of government in the middle of it, and government acting as the middleman and setting procedures and forms and various forms of paperwork in front of farmers who just want to grow food and sell it. Now, what I would prefer would be if we could have more local farmers, more family farmers, fewer restrictions, and more counties willing to work directly with those farmers and purchase that food directly without having to go through this middleman of the government. Now, we heard that this bill does not grow government. I'm having trouble with that one. You know, it states very clearly there is going to be a special revenue account which shall, be associated with the Healthy Lifestyles Fund. The special revenue account shall consist of all appropriations made by the legislature. I mean, what are we planning to do here? How much are we going to appropriate to this? I want to see West Virginia have a thriving agricultural industry made up of small farms, family farms. I want to see our kids be able to eat that food if they will. We need a lot of education for our students to train them in nutrition, and that should start early. We need to help them form those habits, but we need to do it without a massive expansion of government. That's all I have for now. Make your own decisions. Thank you.
Gentleman from the 37th, Gearhart's recognized on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the Health Chair mind yielding for a moment? I think you mentioned to me that the Division of Healthy Lifestyles is currently in existence. Does it have a current budget?
Yes, sir.
Do you know how much that budget is?
I have here in the budget bill about $621,000.
So we've already got something that is in fact funded. And is it funded from general revenue or is it funded from special revenue?
I believe it is from general revenue.
Okay, it's funded from general revenue.
Yes.
The bill specifically indicates that there would be no general revenue committed to these items. Does that include this division of health care, healthy lifestyles, whatever it is?
Yeah, the intent here is to utilize the fund that already exists. It's not meant to, I'm not asking in this bill for any future additional monies for that Office of Healthy Lifestyles.
It doesn't modify the existing appropriation to that department?
That is correct.
That is there?
Yes, sir.
There are quite a few items within this bill. There's no general revenue. It does establish a special revenue account. Typically, special revenue accounts are set up either to have a singular appropriation or a funding stream. Can you let me know how you plan to fund the items that are within this bill without a specific funding stream?
So the idea here would be to first receive reporting on how they can utilize the program appropriately, kind of take all these siloed individual agencies and put them all together to collaborate these different initiatives. And then if there were funds that were needed additional to their general revenue account that, this legislature would have to make a policy decision on whether they wanted to fund that special revenue account or not.
So there could be general revenue monies, even though the bill specifically precludes them, and those would be simply for reporting that this bill requires.
It is about what they currently receive in general revenue, yes, sir. It's not, we're not trying to ask for any additional general revenue funds whatsoever.
Well, and I understand it, but having spent a few years on the Finance Committee, typically we don't ask someone to do something without them making a request for additional dollars. So it is possible that there could be some general revenue funds expended for the reporting that's requested within here.
It is possible if they couldn't do that with inside of what they currently receive through the General Revenue Fund.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
From the 45th, Douglas Brooks is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the chair yield?
Yes, sir.
So the Office of Healthy Lifestyles, through either testimony or just independent knowledge you may have, do we know how long this office has been around in our budget?
Since 2005.
2005. Would it be fair to say that what this bill is putting on this department that already exists, would it be fair to say that that's going to make them more accountable to the taxpayers of this state and to give them guidelines and guidance to be more effective and to do things that maybe they wasn't doing before?
The idea is certainly that, so that we can, so they could identify and help collaborate and show through the reporting mechanisms on how we're spending money and how we could be doing better to save taxpayer dollars. Yes, sir.
The special revenue account, does it currently exist? What I'm seeing here, Mr. Chairman, it says that there is continued.
Yeah, we didn't create anything new. We just picked it up and moved it over.
Okay, so it does currently exist?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for yielding to my question.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
From the 79th, Douglas Hanson is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the chair continue to yield?
Yes, sir.
Isn't it possible that this office can be in the budget but not exist yet?
I mean, the office exists already.
Have you met the person who's in charge?
No, I have not met the person who's in charge, but it exists and has been. They publish an annual report. They have a director.
What's the name of the?
It's been in existence since 2005.
What's the name of the director?
I don't know.
Have they ever provided testimony before your committee?
No.
So when I Google it, it doesn't show up. It doesn't seem like it exists.
Yeah, I understand. I'm sorry Google didn't give you those responses. Maybe they're filtering out some of those responses for some reason.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Is there other debate on the bill? Lady from the 56th, Douglas Young is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm not going to ask you any questions, Chair. So I like a lot of this bill, except there is one piece of it that I really don't like, and it is mandating the presidential fitness test. And you may have seen that our current president said, we're bringing back the presidential fitness test. It was removed from national guidelines in 2013, and it was removed in 2013 because it has a 70-year track record of failure. It has never, ever worked. It started in 1953. The presidential fitness test, you might think it measures fitness because it's in the name. It doesn't. It's a standardized test that kids take once a year, maybe, and it really measures strength. If you can do a pull-up, 10 pull-ups, whatever it is. It doesn't, there's no practicing. I think it is just completely ridiculous. Honestly, it has been massively discredited by research. It doesn't work. I want kids to be as healthy as they possibly can. This is a standardized test that gives you a snapshot in time. And quite frankly, I don't know about y'all, but when I had to take it growing up, it created a lot of shame and a lot of trauma and a lot of kids crying because they can't do all the pull-ups. And I just wish that we would actually invest in social determinants of health so we can create healthy children and help them rather than to shame them into having to do a mile run in under 6 minutes or whatever it is. This test says that it rewards excellence in physical education. That's what the president's executive order says. And we can continue to reward excellence in physical education rather than mandating a failed test that doesn't work because of a lazy executive order and a governor that's been shamed by the Secretary of Health and Human Services. I think it's ridiculous. I don't think we should continue publicly humiliating people.
Gentleman will state the point.
In accordance with Rule 5, I would ask the lady to confine her comments to debate as opposed to the personalities that may or may not be part of this debate.
Okay, all members will be so instructed.
Thank you, my friend. I just think that kids really deserve programs that work rather than political theater. So I'm going to be voting for the bill because I really, really like the rest of it. I just don't think we should be mandating a test that hasn't worked since 1953. Thank you.
Gentleman from the 22nd, Douglas Linville's recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Chair yield. Hey,
Yes, sir.
So I just Googled this, like some of my colleagues. Is this under the Division of Health Promotion and Chronic Disease?
Yes, sir.
So that's where it exists right now?
Yes, sir.
And that's what we're continuing is an office or a program which we may be converting to an office. But one way or the other, it's an initiative that's been funded in the budget at $612,000 last year, and it's in the budget this year. Is that
Yes, sir.
correct? You believe that there's any increased costs to the government over time? I've seen one fiscal note in there, but do you believe this has been crafted in such a way as to not require additional general revenue dollars?
That is accurate. Yes, sir.
So we're trying to make some kids healthy. We're continuing an office that does in fact exist, and you could find that with one quick Google search. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I support the bill.
Is there further debate on the bill? If not, gentleman from the 23rd to close debate on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, I understand that change is hard, and that's what we're trying to do here. Change is hard, but we are the least healthiest state in the nation, and we have to make changes to that. And this bill aims to go after that. But I want to clarify, I wasn't trying to grow government with a new program, new office, new funding. Take an existing office, one that already exists, utilizing what they were already doing and adding in and restructuring. But the most important part of this office is they'll have accountability to the legislature. That's the biggest piece of this. When it comes to, it's not, I think someone talked about growing government. That's not the purpose at all. We're not trying to grow government. We're trying to collaborate. It's what I said earlier. It's smarter government. It's cleaner government. It's meant to ensure that all these individual agencies who are siloed doing their own things are now going to have to report into a central office that already exists. And so they're going to report to the legislature to show us how are we changing and improving the metrics that are severely hampering our state. Once again, this is an economic development issue. We need workers in West Virginia. We need skilled workers. We need people to go to college. We need people to be healthy, make healthy choices as they're adults. This bill aims to focus and work on that. So once again, I urge my colleagues to support the bill. I urge passage, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Question before the House is, shall the bill pass? Those in favor of passage of the bill will please vote aye. Those opposed will please vote no. The clerk will prepare the machine. Has every member voted? If so, the clerk will please close the machine and ascertain the result on that question. We had 91 ayes, 4 nays, and 4 members absent. A majority of the members having voted in the affirmative, the chair declares the bill passed. The clerk will please report the title.
Committee substitute for House Bill 4982.
Are there title amendments? If not, the title as read by the clerk will be and remain the title of the bill. The clerk will please communicate the action of the House to the Senate. Are there other bills on third reading? If not, bills on second reading.
Committee substitute for House Bill 4011 relating to advanced recycling.
Are there amendments? If not, the bill will be advanced.
Committee substitute for House Bill 4012 relating to reducing
Gentleman the first.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Unanimous consent to postpone action one day.
Are there objections to postponing action one day on the bill? No objections are heard. The bill will be so postponed. Further bills on second reading?
Committee substitute for House Bill 4053 to establish the Blue Envelope Program.
Are there amendments?
Delegate Akers moves to amend the bill. This is HFA Akers 2-4 number 1.
Are there objections to having this amendment explained in lieu of having it read? No objections are heard. Gentleman from the 55th to explain the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Offer this amendment because in the subcommittee process, this bill originally included the language you'll see in the amendment before you. However, the subcommittee bill was amended to include what was a companion bill that was offered to us by the Department of Homeland Security that they graciously drew up because it provides funding for this program. The Division of Corrections will actually provide these blue envelopes at a de minimis cost every year, which is to the benefit of those who will participate. But the DHS version of the bill did not have all the same classifications of individuals that the original introduced version of our bill had that was sponsored by my friend, the gentleman from Kanawha. So we're simply adding these same classifications back into what was the introduced version of the bill. It was an oversight at the subcommittee and standing committee level. So I'm offering this amendment today, Mr. Speaker, to meet the spirit and intent of the original version. I urge passage.
You've heard the amendment explained. The question now is, shall the amendment be adopted? Is there debate on the amendment? If not, those in favor of adoption of the amendment as explained by the sponsor, please say aye. Those opposed, please say no. The ayes have it. The chair declares that amendment adopted. Are there other amendments to the bill? If not, the bill will be advanced to third reading. Next bill, second reading.
Committee substitute for House Bill 4179 to create felony charge for individuals who assault police officers or police dogs.
Are there amendments? If not, the bill will be advanced.
Committee substitute for House Bill 4345 relating to the preservation of missing persons' records or evidence.
Are there amendments? If not, the bill will be advanced.
Committee substitute for House Bill 4468 relating to confidentiality of court files and law enforcement records.
Are there amendments? If not, the bill will be advanced.
Committee substitute for House Bill 4600 require all ballots for primary and general elections be received not later than the close of the polls on Election Day.
Are there amendments?
Delegates Hansen and Hornbuckle move to amend the committee substitute. This is HFA Hansen and Hornbuckle 2-9, number 1.
Are there objections to having this amendment explained in lieu of having it read? There are no objections. Chair will recognize the sponsors. Gentleman from the 79th to explain this amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is the first of 4 amendments on this bill, and these amendments restore current code for different categories of people who are specifically allowed to cast absentee ballots. This, the first of the 4 amendments, focuses on students who are studying somewhere other than their home county. And the way it seeks to restore it, just as a reminder of current code, this has to do with absentee ballots. And current state code allows legally cast absentee ballots to be counted so long as the ballots are postmarked by Election Day and received before canvass or received the day after Election Day. So I'm proposing this amendment because I feel like pursuing an education should not cost a West Virginian their voice and our democracy. I ask for your consideration of this amendment and reserve the right to close.
You've heard the amendment explained. Is there debate on the amendment? Gentleman from the 88th, Douglas Hillenbrand, is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the gentleman yield?
Yes.
So, in essence, you want to return the bill to its original form, correct?
For students.
Yeah. So, would you not think that an institution of higher education is probably no better place to learn that deadlines are deadlines? Do students routinely have exams and the teacher says, well, that's all right. You can turn yours in a few days after everybody else, and we see how they did.
Current state code has deadlines, and the deadline is that
In 21 other states.
Well, allow me to answer. The current state code has deadlines, and it requires absentee ballots to be postmarked by Election Day, vote by Election Day.
Right.
That works.
I don't disagree with you. Both the Post Office and the Secretary of State's office have given us warnings about getting things mailed in timely in order for them to be counted. This is a voter integrity and disenfranchisement bill. I wouldn't want to see one ballot that somebody thinks they've cast to show up too late. It's about getting things done on time. And I'm sure you pay most of your bills on time. I may be wrong, but if you're late, there are penalties. I think this should be no different. The deadline is the deadline is the deadline.
Interesting that you should say that, because this bill makes it more likely that something will come in late, and the amendment restores it to current code so that more ballots that are legally cast by students will actually be counted.
Well, I think we'll just agree to disagree. I think this adds greater consistency and integrity to the bill. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Question again is on the amendment as explained by the sponsors. Is there further debate on the amendment? If not, gentleman to 79th is recognized to close debate on the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Across West Virginia, thousands of young people are temporarily absent from their home counties when they're attending college or technical school or other educational opportunities. But they remain residents of West Virginia. They remain registered to vote in their home counties. And they remain invested in the future of their communities. And absentee voting is the lawful and appropriate method for them to participate in our democracy while they're out working to make themselves and their state better. So this amendment ensures that absentee ballots that are lawfully cast by West Virginians who are away at school are counted. It doesn't weaken security It allows for more votes to be counted. And our laws should encourage education, should encourage civic participation and responsibility, and not force our citizens to choose between them. So I urge adoption of the amendment and ask for a roll call.
Debate on the amendment has been closed. Roll call vote is requested. Is the request sustained? Request is not sustained. Those in favor of adoption of the amendment will please say aye. Those opposed will please say no. The noes have it. Chair declares the amendment lost. Are there other amendments to the bill?
Delegates Hansen and Hornbuckle move to amend the committee substitute. This is HFA Hansen and Hornbuckle 2-9, number 2.
The question before the House is the adoption of the amendment. Chair will recognize the sponsor to open debate, or to explain the amendment, rather, to explain the amendment. Gentleman from the 79th is recognized to explain the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is a very similar amendment. It has to do with the absentee voting deadline. But instead of focusing on students who are away at school, this amendment focuses on people who are disabled or sick and are voting absentee for that reason. Current state code allows for legally cast absentee ballots cast by people who are disabled or sick to be counted so long as they're postmarked by Election Day and arrive by canvass, or if they arrive the day after Election Day. So this amendment has to do with having one's ballots counted, even if you're sick, injured, or disabled, and I ask for your support.
Debate on the amendment is now, or debate is now on the amendment as explained by the sponsor. Is there debate on the amendment? Gentleman from the 55th, Douglas Akers, is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have to rise in opposition to the amendment. Certainly have sympathy for folks who may find themselves in this position or these positions. We do have other provisions of code that allow, for example, for the request of an emergency absentee ballot if you're someone who is disabled or ill. The spirit and intent of this bill, really the main thrust of the bill, what it's all about is to set a deadline of Election Day. Return of ballots have to be in by 8 o'clock on Election Day. It's the entire reason why the bill was debated in committee. We had some of these same debates in the committee process, and they were rejected. So on behalf of the committee, Mr. Speaker, I oppose this amendment and urge rejection. Thank you.
Gentleman from the 54th, Douglas Pushkin, is recognized on the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the chairman yield?
Yes, sir.
You just brought up the provision we voted for several years ago about the emergency absentee ballot for people who are have disabled.
Ill or disabled, yes, sir.
Or ill or disabled. That doesn't affect the deadline. That just means they can ask for an absentee ballot.
It does not. I mean, just like we have a deadline now, this bill also contains a hard deadline. So the policy question is, when is the deadline going to be? Even the people who request an emergency absentee ballot now are still subject to a hard deadline. The question is, when should that occur?
So the fact that they can ask for the absentee ballot doesn't have any bearing on this amendment really at all.
It would have
just the fact that they would be able to have an absentee ballot. That's all that bill did that we passed several years ago.
It has an effect on the overall bill. We're talking about the amendment now, but the absentee ballot provision also has a carve-out which would apply to this overall bill when that is going to be discussed tomorrow. So there is an effect. It's not on the amendment.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Just briefly, I would support there's certain things that are within our control and some things that are beyond our control. What is within our control is the postmark. What is beyond our control is when it's received. Especially right now, the mail is running 11 days late at times. I can tell you, as someone who's been watching the certificates of announcement come in for folks who are filing to run, the mail has been running late. That is beyond people's control. We shouldn't punish people who are sick or disabled, who did their part, they got it postmarked in time, and because of something beyond their control, the mail ran slow, and now you're saying you're going to take away their right to vote because the mailman was late. I support the amendment.
Gentleman from the 57, Douglas Lewis, is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the chair of Judiciary yield for some questions?
Yes, sir.
You mentioned the committee process where this was discussed previously. Were there any considerations regarding how our mail is now, some places in West Virginia, not all, is being ran through Pittsburgh? As far as would that affect deadlines and mail being timely?
We did have discussions about that, and obviously the mail service is a concern. But That cuts both ways in this debate, because one thing we talked about in the committee process is that the United States Postal Service recently issued an alert that their postmark process is also changing. So that even if you drop off a piece of mail that would now ordinarily be postmarked same day, they've said that you cannot count on when the postmark may be applied. It could be 3, 4, 5, 6 days in the future, which also affects this process. So that was part of what we talked about, was trying to bring certainty to when the ballot has to be in, because we can't rely upon the postmarks anymore either.
Got it. Great point. I'm glad you brought that up. So was there anybody from U.S. Postal Service to testify in committee about these processes?
No one from the post office showed up. We just read the publicly available information, which I think would be the same as what the testimony was.
Okay.
Or
Were
would
they
have been.
invited?
I'm sorry?
Were they invited to testify in committee?
I don't know if anyone invited them or not.
All right. And so from what your research, what would be the recommended time to actually send something in the mail to get it delivered on time as far as elections are concerned?
My recommendation,
Just from what you researched, not
under current law, and if this bill passes, my recommendation would not be changed. It would be as soon as possible. Because even under current law, there still is a hard deadline. You can mail something today. If this bill were not to pass, you could still have it postmarked late, because the Postal Service alert that if you go in same day as Election Day, they may not postmark it that day.
Well, I guess what I'm asking is, like, did the committee have any recommendations? Was there any testimony? Was there anything to say, you need to mail this 2 weeks, 3 weeks out, so to make sure it gets on time? Like, just like those hard deadlines, just for people have a timeline in which they're looking at to make sure it's delivered on time.
Yes, sir. Again, my recommendation would be the same under current law and this bill. It would be as soon as possible.
Gotcha.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
The question again is on the amendment as explained by the sponsor. Is there further debate on the amendment? If not, Chair will recognize the sponsor to close debate on the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I appreciate having some debate on this bill, or on this amendment, and also some debate about postmarking. I did want to point out that the U.S. Postal Service has put out a website about postmarking myths and facts, and this is very recent. It's from earlier this year. It says the Postal Service has not changed and is not changing our postmarking practices, which have been consistent since we began moving away from hand canceling every item at post offices decades ago. Postmarks are generally applied by machines at our originating processing facilities and will continue to be applied at those facilities in the same manner and to the same extent as before. That's what the U.S. Postal Service says just last month. And, you know, this is important because what this bill does definitively is result in fewer absentee ballots that are legally cast by Election Day to be counted. Fewer of your constituents' votes will be counted. And for many of our constituents, absentee voting is not just a matter of convenience, it's the only way they could participate in our democracy. And this particular amendment addresses West Virginians who are recovering from surgery or have chronic illness, or they're coping with some disability, they're injured through no fault of their own. These are citizens who are following the law, requesting and casting absentee ballots. They care about our state and they deserve to have their voices heard. It has nothing to do with election security or fraud, because we've had provisions in place that I'm trying to go back to now that have worked well. There's been no testimony before our committee that fraud has been found due to these absentee ballot provisions. They work. It just ensures that absentee ballots that are lawfully cast by people that are sick or injured or disabled are counted. That's all this amendment does. So we shouldn't punish people for circumstances beyond their control. We should show a little bit of compassion and fairness and respect for every citizen and vote yes on this amendment.
Debate on the amendment has been closed. The question now is, shall the amendment be adopted? Those in favor of adoption of the roll call is requested. Is the request sustained? Request is not sustained. Those in favor of adoption of the amendment will please say aye. Opposed will please say no. Okay, the noes have it. Chair declares the amendment lost. Are there other amendments to the bill?
Delegates Hansen and Hornbuckle move to amend the committee substitute. This is HFA Hansen and Hornbuckle 2-9, number 3.
Okay, the question is on adoption of the amendment. Chair will recognize the sponsor to explain the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is the third amendment, which focuses on counting every absentee ballot that was legally cast, and this one focuses on the elderly. This is another category of West Virginians that West Virginia State Code explicitly allows to request absentee ballots. And it's based on the principle that every eligible West Virginia citizen deserves to have their lawful vote counted, especially people that have earned that right through a lifetime of service and work and sacrifice, elderly West Virginians. This is about respecting our elders and ensuring that every one of their vote is counted. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Question now is on adoption of the amendment. Is there debate on the amendment? Gentleman from the 53rd, Delegate Levitt, is recognized on the amendment.
Would the sponsor yield? Either one.
Yes.
I just want to make sure that I'm understanding the current state of the law. Under the law right now, if someone puts a ballot in the mail on election day, what is the requirement in code for that ballot to be counted?
There's two ways for that ballot to be counted. One is if it arrives the day after Election Day, presumption being it was mailed by Election Day. The second requirement would be a postmark on Election Day and arrival before the start of the canvass.
So what happens if the ballot doesn't arrive before the start of the canvass?
It would not be counted.
So doesn't our current law, by your reasoning then, disenfranchise voters?
There's a deadline in current law, and the deadline is when the votes are counted. So current law says so long as it comes in before the votes are counted and it has a valid postmark, it will be counted.
When are the votes counted?
The final votes are counted at canvass.
And when is canvass?
It's about a week after Election Day.
So it's not, it's give or take? 6 days, 8 days?
Well, if you
10
know,
days?
tell me.
Say
Monday, what is it, the Monday after? Yeah, I mean, it's public information when the canvass is.
Well, do we feel like most voters know exactly when the canvass is? 'Cause
They
if
don't
not-
need to know. All they need to do is get it postmarked by Election Day. And then if it arrives by canvass, it'll be counted.
Okay, no further questions. May I speak to the amendment?
Yes, the gentleman is recognized.
I think we all recognize, again, most voters don't know when canvass day is. So either they are able to get it in because of the post office and the issues there, or they're not. One way or the other, there's a set deadline in the law. So I would urge rejection of this amendment. We are making a decision that is either way, whether they do it earlier, whether they do it at the time. We want to have clarity on the time when they're received, and this at least gives voters a time to know my ballot needs to be in by this set day, as opposed to currently when they have to consult whatever is out there and may or may not know where to find it. Thank you.
Gentleman from the 98th, Delegate Funkhauser, is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the lead sponsor, Delegate Hillenbrand, yield for a question?
Certainly.
Could you tell me how many days do absentee ballot seekers have under current law versus the bill before us to seek and submit their ballot?
Well, that's a great question because it's almost a semester's length of time, coincidentally. I believe if I did the math correctly, you have 84 days less 13 would give you 71.
That's for the bill before us, so 71 days under this proposed law?
Correct.
And current law would be 77, 6 more days?
Correct again.
Okay, and then it was stated on the previous amendment in the argument that, and I think the same argument was made in committee on this, that this would lead to less legal ballots cast. Is that a fact?
I don't know how that statement was arrived at other than supposition.
So that's more speculation. So
I believe so. I have no information that,
potentially
objectively
with a hard deadline like this, you could actually get more cast because voters know they have to get those ballots in early.
Sometimes deadlines motivate people.
Okay, thank you, Delegate Hillenbrand. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Question still is on adoption of the amendment as explained by the sponsor. Is there other debate on the amendment? Gentleman from the 57th, Delegate Lewis, is recognized on the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. From the current debate, we're not talking about any voter. We're talking about elderly voters, who some of which may have memory loss, may be living in, elderly living facilities, nursing homes. So this is who this amendment is talking about. And we shouldn't disenfranchise them. We should give them some leeway. There should be some exceptions to the rule. I understand there are hard deadlines, I get it. But I think they deserve a little grace. So I'm in support of the amendment. I hope you are too. Let's preserve grandma's right to vote.
Is there other debate on the amendment? If not, Chair recognizes the sponsor, gentleman the 79th, to close debate on the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I appreciate that current law has a hard deadline. Of course it has a hard deadline. Of course you can't count a ballot that comes in after the ballots are counted. That would make no sense. That's current code. We'll count your vote if it comes in before the votes are finally counted, as long as we know you voted on election day or earlier. That makes sense. That gives the benefit of the doubt to people that cast absentee ballots for these various reasons. In the case of this amendment, we're talking about the elderly. And it takes a certain kind of twisted logic to suggest that more votes are going to be counted when you move the deadline up. Fewer votes will be counted if this bill passes without this amendment. Because many of our elderly neighbors, they rely on absentee ballots not just out of convenience, but out of necessity. They've got issues with illnesses. They might have mobility challenges. They might have trouble with getting to polling places due to transportation issues. These are our parents. These are our grandparents. These are former coal miners, teachers, caregivers. This is a cross-section of West Virginia. We have a very elderly population in this state. So supporting this amendment is about fairness. It's about honoring our elders. It's about making sure that our laws reflect our values and our responsibility to the people that we serve. So again, I urge a yes vote on this amendment.
Debate on the amendment has been closed. The question before the House is the adoption of the amendment. Roll call vote is requested. Is the request sustained? Request is not sustained. Question before the House is adoption of the amendment. Those in favor of adoption of the amendment will please say aye. Those opposed will please say no. Okay, the noes have it. Chair declares the amendment lost. Are there other amendments to the bill?
Delegates Hansen and Hornbuckle move to amend the committee substitute. This is HFA Hansen and Hornbuckle 2-9 number 4.
Chair recognizes the sponsor to open.
Mr. Speaker, this is the fourth amendment that deals with absentee ballots, and this focuses on members of our military who are stationed overseas. And like the other three amendments, are actually counted and postmarked by election day, or if they're received the day after election day. And this amendment, it concerns a basic promise that we make to those who wear our nation's uniform, that when they're defending our democracy abroad, we're going to protect their right to participate in our democracy at home. I ask for your support.
The question is on adoption of the amendment as just explained by the sponsor. Chairman, the 22nd, Doug Linville is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Would the Judiciary Chairman yield for just a moment?
What did I do to you?
Not a thing. I seem to remember a couple of years ago that we were allowing for electronic submission of ballots from our members of the military utilizing blockchain technology. It seemed to be a hallmark of the past Secretary of State's service, having been a distinguished veteran. Are we still allowing for that?
Veterans may choose. They may vote physically with a physical paper ballot, or they may vote electronically. Yes, sir. That is an option they're given right now.
Okay, so is it an accurate characterization that there is actually special accommodation that remains in the law for our military service members with or without the gentleman's amendment?
They have that accommodation and some others. There's a law called UCAVA at the federal level, and state law must comply with UCAVA. As long as there's no conflict, we can make our own election laws. But that example you just gave is one of them. The federal service members may vote electronically today, and they will still be allowed to if we pass this bill.
And so we can ensure that their vote is cast and immediately delivered.
I sure hope so.
Thank you to the chairman. Mr. Speaker, thank you.
Gentleman from the 88th, Douglas Hillenbrand is recognized on the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If I could speak to the amendment.
Gentleman is recognized.
As a proud member of our United States Navy, somebody that's spent a career in the Navy, and a member of the Veterans Caucus, I object in rather strenuous terms to the sponsor's insinuation that this would in anyhow disenfranchise the military. I think if there's any single group of individuals in this country that if they're told to do something, be somewhere at a specific date and time, they'll make it happen. It'll be the United States military. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Gentleman from the 54th, Douglas Pushkin is recognized on the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Again, from recent experience in watching very important documents arrive in the mail to this building, certificates of announcement, I can tell you that certificates that were simply mailed from different parts of West Virginia have taken, in some cases, up to a week, some over a week. So you're going to tell me that our men and women who are serving overseas, they can guarantee they could vote a week ahead of time. And you cannot guarantee to me, and the Postal Service cannot guarantee that their vote, their ballot will show up by Election Day. You are disenfranchising people who are serving this country, potentially, who did everything right. They followed the rules. They mailed it by Election Day, maybe a week before Election Day. And it still has from what I've seen this past week, has a potential for not showing up on time. That is beyond their control. You want to suppress the vote of men and women who serve this country overseas? Because that's what this will do without this amendment. I don't see what the problem the bill itself is trying to address here. It seems like elections have gone quite well for y'all lately. I'm not sure what the problem is we're trying to fix. I think what we should do is err on the side of democracy and count the damn votes.
Gentleman from the 53rd, Douglas Levitt is recognized.
Would the gentleman from the 54th yield?
Sure.
You mentioned that even with the recent applications to be candidates, some of them have taken more than a week. If a canvass takes place right now, approximately a week after the vote, under the current law, would someone mailing in their ballot and it being received longer than a week after the canvass, would that be counted?
Yes, the way the post office has been operating lately, yes. Under current law, you're still going to see folks who mailed it in on time not be counted. However, this bill makes the problem worse.
How so?
Because it moves the deadline up.
So if the message that the legislature wants to send to voters is, if you want your vote to be counted, vote as early as possible, isn't that important to let people know who otherwise might assume that if they postmark it on Election Day that it's automatically going to be counted, when we in fact know we can't guarantee that?
Well, I'd say that, yes, the message should be vote as early as possible, but it's also beyond their control. Look, it's within your control when you get something postmarked. It is beyond your control when it is received. And lately, things have been taking longer than they should to be received.
So either way, it's outside of their control, correct?
What's that?
So either way, it's outside of their control, correct?
Yes. However, this
Okay, no
bill,
further
without
questions.
the amendment, makes it worse.
Thank you.
Question still is on adoption of the amendment as explained by the sponsor. Is there other debate on the amendment? If not, the sponsor is recognized to close debate on the amendment. Gentleman, the 79th, Douglas Hanson is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would agree that if somebody sends in an absentee ballot and it arrives after canvass and is not counted, that's a problem. I wish that ballot would have been sent earlier and had been counted. That's a problem in state code currently. But the solution to that problem is an education campaign to get people to mail their ballots as soon as possible, as early as possible, so that fewer ballots arrive after canvass. The solution to that problem is not moving the deadline up several days so that even fewer votes are counted. That's the opposite of the solution. That makes the problem worse. And that's why I'm proposing this amendment. Again, people in uniform, they're defending our democracy abroad. That's why they're voting absentee. We should do everything we can to allow them to participate in our democracy and have their votes counted. I ask for the yeas and nays.
Debate on the amendment has been closed. The question before the House is, shall the amendment be adopted? A roll call when the amendment is requested. Is the request sustained? Request is not sustained. Those in favor of adoption of the amendment will please say aye. Those opposed will please say no. Division has been demanded. Is the demand sustained? Demand is not sustained. Chair declares the amendment lost. Are there other amendments to the bill? Gentleman will state the point.
Do you need to sustain a division?
Chair thought so, but is willing to be corrected. We will do it anyway, regardless. We'll do it anyway. Division is demanded. We will vote by standing. Those in favor of adoption of the amendment as explained by the sponsor will please stand. On that question, there are 9 in the affirmative. Those voting in the affirmative will please stand. Excuse me, chair is in error. There are 10 in the affirmative. All members will please be seated. Those voting in the negative will please stand. There are less in the affirmative than in the negative. The chair rules that the amendment is lost. Are there other amendments to the bill? Are there other amendments to the bill? If not, the bill will be advanced to third reading. Next bill on second reading.
House Bill 4749, relating to adding requirements to the Foster Child Bill of Rights.
Gentleman, the first.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Unanimous consent to advance the bill to third reading with general right to amend.
Gentleman, the first asks unanimous consent to advance House Bill 4749 to third reading with the general right to amend. Are there objections? Okay, no objections are heard. The bill will be so advanced. Are there other bills on second reading?
Committee substitute for House Bill 4893, increase the penalties for contempt of court in a magistrate court.
Are there amendments? If not, the bill will be advanced. Are there other bills on second reading? If not, bills on first reading.
House Bill 4089, preservation of hair during chemotherapy, also known as the Jessica Huffman Bill.
Bill will be advanced.
Committee substitute for House Bill 4466, extend the public intoxication of alcohol code to include being under the impairment of narcotics in public.
Bill will be advanced.
House Bill 4474, extending the Alzheimer's disease and other dementia advisory council sunset date.
Bill will be advanced.
Committee substitute for House Bill 4501, relating to dietitian licensure compact.
Bill will be advanced.
Committee substitute for House Bill 4695, to double the criminal penalty for anyone found guilty of a sexual assault on a minor.
Bill will be advanced.
Committee substitute for House Bill 4767, relating to requiring the Bureau for Medical Services to file a legislative rule.
Bill will be advanced.
House Bill 5022, relating to expanding the programs to be included in the annual capitation rate review.
Bill will be advanced. Are there other bills on first reading? If not, leaves of absence. Gentleman, the first.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. For our colleagues, delegates Kump, Doug Smith, and Vance.
Are there objections to leaves of absence being granted? No objections are heard. Those leaves of absence will be granted. Introductions. Gentleman from the 28th, Delegate Browning.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I am pleased to announce that today's Academy of Family Physicians docs for a day are Drs. Young, Dr. Lilly, and Dr. Rotman. If they could please rise, and the House would please make them feel welcome.
Gentleman from the 59th, Delegate Shamblin.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In the
West Gallery, I have a good friend of mine. He's the director of the Nitro Food Pantry visiting with us at the Capitol, Mr. Bill Fortune. If he could stand and the House would make him feel welcome.
Are there other introductions? If not, miscellaneous business. Gentleman the first.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move, subject to announcements, the House adjourn until 11 a.m. tomorrow.
Are there announcements? Gentleman the first.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your Rules Committee will meet tomorrow at 10:45 a.m. in the Speaker's conference room.
Gentleman the 72nd, Delegate Riley.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your Subcommittee on Revenue will meet tomorrow, February 10th at 8:30 a.m. for a committee hearing. The agenda is posted. Following Revenue at 9 a.m., your Committee on Finance will have a committee meeting and a budget hearing from DEP and Agriculture. The agenda will be posted. Also tomorrow, February 10th, your Subcommittee on Banking and Insurance will meet at 1 p.m. for a committee meeting. The agenda will be posted.
Gentleman the 41st, Delegate Maynor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your Subcommittee on Legal Services will meet immediately following floor session in the Judiciary Committee room. And for tomorrow, your Judiciary Committee and subcommittees will meet on Tuesday, February 10th in the Judiciary Committee room. Committee on Judiciary will meet at 9 a.m. Republican members of the committee will caucus in the chairman's office at 8:45 a.m. Subcommittee on Legal Services will meet at 9:45 a.m. Subcommittee on Homeland Security will meet at 10 a.m. And your Subcommittee on Courts will meet at 10:15 a.m. and all agendas will be posted. Thank you.
Gentleman the 68th, Delegate Phillips.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your Standing Committee on Government Organization will meet today at 1 p.m. in the Government Organization Committee room. The agenda is posted, and Republicans will caucus at 12:45 in the chair's office. Your Subcommittee on Local Governments will meet today at 2 p.m. in the Government Organization Committee room. The agenda is posted. And tomorrow, your Subcommittee on Agriculture, Commerce, and Tourism will meet at 1 p.m. in the Education Committee room. Everyone, please take note, at the Education Committee room. The agenda is posted, and Republicans will caucus in the chair's office at 12:45. And your Subcommittee on Government Administration will meet tomorrow at 2 p.m., once again in the Education Committee room. The agenda will be posted, and Republicans will caucus in the chair's office at 1:45.
Gentleman the 92nd, Delegate Height.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your Committee on Health and Human Resources will meet today, February 9th at 3:30 p.m. in the Health and Human Resources Committee room. Republican members will caucus at 3 p.m. And your Committee on Health and Human Resources will meet tomorrow, Tuesday, February 10th at 3:30 p.m. in the Health and Human Resources Committee room. Republican members will caucus at 3 p.m. The agenda will be posted. Thank you.
Gentleman the 43rd, Delegate Tony.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your Standing Committee on Education will meet today at 1 p.m. in the Education Committee room. Your Subcommittee on Public Education will meet tomorrow, Tuesday, February the 10th at 1 p.m. in room 215E, the East Wing Committee room. Your Subcommittee on Educational Choice will also meet tomorrow, Tuesday, February the 12th, February the 10th at 2 in room 215E, the East Wing Committee room. All agendas are posted.
Gentleman the 2nd, Douglas Atezolo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Your Standing Committee on Energy and Public Works will meet tomorrow in the House Judiciary Committee room at 3 p.m. The agenda has been posted. Thank you.
Lady from the 81st, Delegate Hamilton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Women's Caucus will meet immediately following floor, and lunch will be served. Thank you. At 3:30.
Are there other announcements? If not, then the question is on the motion that the House stand adjourned at 11 a.m. tomorrow. Those in favor of the motion will please say aye. Those opposed will please say no. The ayes have it. The motion is adopted. The House is adjourned at 11 a.m. tomorrow.